Hey, so it's been a long time since I've made a League video, but recently a couple of friends have asked for pointers on wave manipulation. And so I wanted to make this video to kind of point out the way minions work and how you can use knowledge of the way minions push and the way they interact with each other to your advantage in games of League. So the first thing that I want to cover here is um, minion location in a lane and how that affects the way they'll push. So you just saw Nunu walk out into the lane and stall the red minions for 2 or 3 seconds before walking into the bush to drop aggro, and I didn't attack the minions or anything, so there was no kind of artificial um, altering of the minions in this lane. But just by making the minions fight a little bit closer to the red side, you'll see that over the next, I don't know, 3 or 4 waves, the wave will push towards the blue tower. And the reason this happens is because um, the not the wave that I actually stalled, but future waves coming in, the red side will actually get their minions to the fight faster. So because the fight is happening slightly past the midpoint of the lane, the red minions get there a little bit quicker. They get in an extra auto attack or two, and over time that builds up a force of leftover minions. So you saw as this cannon minion wave came in, there were, I don't know, 3 or 4 extra red minions just laying around from prior waves. And eventually this builds up. It allows the red team minions to build up a larger force and overpower the blue minions and push all the way into the blue tier 1 tower. So as you can see, we have a bunch of minions that just reached the blue tower without any interaction from any champions or any abilities, spells, anything else. And this is pretty important. So if you see that minions are meeting up on a certain edge of the lane, so if they're meeting up by a blue tower or a red tower, as long as the forces start evenly, over time a large group can build up and push to the other side. So if you're in a position where you want to make sure that your minions, so that you want to make sure your opponent can't freeze the lane on their side of the map, you want to make sure that evenly matched minion waves aren't meeting up on your side, because if they are, it's only a matter of time before those push into your enemy and they can kind of freeze the wave. And we'll go over freezing the wave in a little bit. Alternatively, if you want to leave a lane, but you don't want to give up map pressure, if you can manipulate the wave in such a way that waves of minions are meeting up close to your towers, over time, you'll see gangs of minions on your team surviving those wave-on-wave battles and pushing towards the opponent tower. So in this case, kind of the opposite happened. So the red minions, at first, they pushed all the way to the tower, but then because they were at the tower, the blue minions were getting to the fights faster, and so a wave built up, and now it's crashing into the red team tower. So the next thing I want to talk about is freezing a wave. So what that is, kind of why you would do it, and how to do it. So we just saw that if a minion wave kind of meets evenly on one side of the map, so on the blue side or the red side, it will push towards the other over time. But oftentimes, your goal as a laner is to farm as safely as possible. So you want to farm close to your tower, that way the enemy jungler, if they come to gank, they have to work really hard to either dive you and kill you under tower, or kill you before you can get back to tower, and if you're already very close, then that can be tough to do. So let's see what freezing a wave looks like. Now I waited for a big wave to kind of build up top lane for red side to simulate the enemy top laner pushing that wave up towards my tower. So the first thing I do is make sure that it doesn't actually crash into the tower, because If that happens, then we're going to run into the situation where we just saw in the bot lane, where a wave or two will show up at my tower, but then relatively quickly, the blue minions will start to get up to the top. They'll start to match evenly in numbers, and because it's even numbered minions on the blue side of the map, it'll push towards the red side. So I take the minions away from the tower, and then I run into the river and make sure that I don't die to minions. And I let the minions on the red side start killing my minions. Now, I'm trying to do like a little bit of a pruning process, and this is something that you'll just have to practice over time. So you want to make sure that the red minions in that lane always outnumber the blue minions, but not by too much. So like I said, I want to keep the red minions away from my tower, because as soon as they hit the tower, the freeze is kind of broken. It might take a wave or two, but over time, it'll push towards the red side. So I want to make sure I'm killing red minions, but I don't want to kill them too quickly, because if I kill them too quickly, I'm acting kind of like the tower, and I'm reducing the blue team's opposition in that lane, and it will start to push towards the red side. So, and this is something, if you do it correctly, you can kind of keep up the freeze indefinitely. So I don't do it here for a couple of reasons. One, just being time. But if I really tried to keep the red minions right where they are, so that I'm relatively safe from the jungler, from the red team jungler, but at the same time I can kind of farm, you can do that as long as you can keep the red minions a little bit more in numbers, but a little bit closer to your side. However, as you see here, I pushed a little bit too hard, I wasn't really paying attention, and now all of a sudden the blue minions definitely have a numbers advantage over the red minions, and in that case the freeze is broken and it will slowly start to push back towards the red tower. Now, I don't want to give the enemy laner the opportunity to freeze at his tower, and the best way to stop that from happening is actually to push into the red team tower as quickly as possible. So I want my minions to die to his tower, or force him to last hit under his tower, because it does the best job of kind of resetting the lane and getting it to a state where the minions are meeting in the middle. Okay, so the last big thing that I want to talk about is the slow push. What it is, how you do it, and why it's so important. So a slow push is setting up a minion wave in such a way that over the next probably 2 to 5 minutes, your wave will grow to a huge number in size. It'll be like 3 minion waves worth of minions, and it will push really hard towards the enemy team. And so the way you do that is to use kind of that technique that we used in the first section of this, where we were in the bot lane and we got the minions to fight on one side of the lane versus the other. So when I stopped the red side minions towards the red side of the map and had the two waves meet closer to the red tower, over a minute or two, the red wave got stronger and it pushed towards the blue tower. But that was only between the tier 1 towers. And so as the game progresses, and right now you can see we're 40 minutes into the game, towers will go down, and it leaves more room for these waves to build up. So every wave has, well, 2 out of every 3 waves have six minions in them. The first wave that spawns in the game has 6 minions, 3 melee, 3 caster minions. The second wave is the same thing. The third wave, and every third wave for the rest of the game, has 7 minions. It has 3 melees, 3 casters, and 1 cannon minion. And so that's what we see here. So what we're trying to do is get 3, 4, maybe even 5 minion waves worth of minions to collect over time and push towards the enemy towers. So what I'm going to do is, right now we have 7 minions on each team meeting up in the middle. My minions are a little bit weaker because they had just fought through a different wave, but I'm going to even that out with Nuno. I'm going to run forward. I'm going to consume one of the caster minions on the red wave, and then I'm just going to walk away and let the minions kind of dictate the rest of the push. And so This is a really important concept because it can be used to force the enemy team into some really crappy situations. So, as we all know, Baron is in the top side of the map. So we're going to use the bot side of the map to split the enemy team up. So by setting up this slow push in the bot side, I force the other team to make a decision. They can either send one of their players towards the bot lane to stop this freeze and potentially have to fight 4v5 at Baron, or they can fight 5v5 at Baron and let the minion wave really push hard. And you're going to see in the next couple minutes just how much damage these minions can do with absolutely no help. So this is something that you can do if a couple of towers have been taken on the bot side of the map, and you think, okay, I don't think we can Baron now, but in the next 5 minutes, it would be really great if we could try. So Baron's not something that you all of a sudden look at and say, okay, let's do Baron right now. Baron is something that you have to set up for with vision, with map pressure, and or with kills. So kills is the easiest way. You win a big team fight, and everyone on the other team is dead. Your team is alive, so you go to take Baron. But that doesn't always work. Sometimes your team isn't as good at team fighting. Sometimes you're behind, and you need to find other ways to get Baron. And so this can be one of them. It doesn't really take a whole lot of effort to kill one caster minion in the bot lane. Like, that's all I did, was kill one caster minion in the bot lane. And look at what's happened already. I have 3 cannon minions and a whole slew of caster minions pushing forward towards the red side of the map. And so over time, this is going to get bigger and bigger, and it's going to push really hard and force the red team to decide whether or not they want to potentially lose towers on the red side of the map, or if they want to potentially give my team Baron.
Team's turret has been destroyed. Red team's turret has been destroyed.
And so take a look at that. The minion wave that I created by killing one caster minion on the red team close to my inhibitor tower now has a gigantic wave of minions that took 2 towers on their own and now an inhibitor. And that whole time, so that wave started at about 39, 40 minutes. So that took about 4 minutes where my team can jockey for position by Baron and see if we can get other objectives done. If you rewind this video, you'll see that like the whole time that minion wave was pushing, I was actually dancing at Baron as Nunu. And this wave is still pushing. Like, if the other team decides that they don't want to give you Baron, if they want to fight you, like, look at how much they're giving up. And so this is something that you can use to your advantage, like setting up a slow push, but it's also something that you have to keep in mind when you look at the state of the map if you want to go take Baron. If your team is looking to take Baron and you look bot lane, and all of a sudden you notice, that's kind of funny. There's roughly 6 minions in each wave, but they're meeting really close to the red inhibitor tower. That's bad, because that means over the next 5 minutes, that wave is going to get really, really big, and it's going to push towards your towers while you're trying to fight for an objective on the complete opposite side of the map. Um, so just something to keep in mind that minions, early on, they're a gold source, but as the game gets later and as the objectives get more and more intense to fight over, minions are just as big an objective as anything else if you know how to play them correctly.